afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is another unscripted auction review, and today we're looking at an 88 Cherokee Laredo two-door. This is a cool Jeep. I'm really liking this already. Surprised the bid is kind of low, so we'll see here. It's first I've actually really taken a look at this. I just clicked the watching button a minute ago. Somehow I missed the email alert on this one. But anyway, we're at 7 grand, 2 days to go. Whenever I post this video, I will put the sale price in there so you can see what it is. But right off the bat, we've got the beautiful red. Is this Colorado red? I can't remember what they called this one. With the gray two-tone that was on the Laredos. Looks like we've had a pinstripe added to it. Super cool. There's the high option one for sure. I see the chrome tow hooks pointing out of the front there, which suggests the off-road package. We got the alloy wheels, which are wrapped in some pretty nice Hankook all-terrains. I like those tires. We've got the smoker's window, little pop-out window there, and then the pop-out window in the back here. I'm wondering why this one is so relatively inexpensive currently, but we'll see. Let's see. It was sold new in Florida, but it's currently in Wisconsin. 59,000 miles. Holy moly, I might be bidding on this. Colorado red over Hunter's plaid. That is correct. It's got an automatic with select track. Excuse me, so it's a pretty high option for sure. Cruise control. Let's get through this. I'm excited to go through this. Let's see. From the rear, we've got badging is all in the right spots. Someone's added some kind of a sticker here. Don't know what's up there. We've got the light tint that I think was standard on, or not standard, was optional on these back in the day, I think. Somebody's added, looks like little strips to the doors. I'm always a little wary of Florida cars just because we get rust from weird places there. And I know this is painting with a really broad brush, but there's a lot of really shady repair shops there. Also, it's a tidal washing state, or used to be. I don't know if it's as bad anymore, but we'll see here. So the seller refinished the wheel arch flares and the bumper end caps, and then they replaced the tail lights. I don't know why the tail lights were replaced. Kind of strange, but power antenna's not working, it says. So forgot these earlier ones had power antennas. This was the second year of the 4-liter, the 4-liter inline 6. Let's see, we got slightly larger than stock tires. I think they were 225/70s. Was that the stock size back then? I forget. But we're just slightly bigger and a much easier to find tire today. They probably rub a little bit because this suspension looks like it's the springs at least have sagged a bit. You can tell because it's sitting a bit low in the back for sure. But they're new tires. The power steering pump's been replaced. The brake booster's been replaced, and the front axle U-joint and the rear shocks. Not the front's strange. Not a very hard job to do. Inside. Oh, look at these seats. They're so cool. Those separate headrests there. These were cool Jeeps back then. Guys, see the Jensen speakers. I know they sound terrible today, but it was a cool option back then. 8 speakers stereo. I don't think they were 8 speakers. I think they were 6, maybe 4 even. I forget, but certainly wasn't 8. See some wear on the radio buttons. Surprising for given the mileage, but maybe the previous owner was real picky about their radio selections. Got our power windows, got our leather wrapped sport wheel. A lot of this was optional. I see stock floor mats in there because I can see the Jeep logo. Current owner only put 150 miles on it, so this person probably bought it to flip. Maybe just bought it because they liked it. Let's see here. I don't see the ABS components. I can't remember if ABS was available on the 88s, and I don't have my brochures in front of me. I'm not sitting at home right now. Yes, this was the early version of the 4-liter, so it was 177 horsepower. They got as high as 190 toward the end, but for the last few model years, not really a big difference. This is a Renix or Renix car, depending on how you choose to pronounce that. The Renault-based fuel injection system, very, very vacuum heavy. Really not a difficult system, I don't think. I've never had any big issues. Had a bunch of these. You just get a lot of these vacuum lines that you just got to replace. So a smoke testing kit is a great way to address that. Underneath, I see it looks like that is probably the skid plate there. Is this? Well, I don't know. I don't see the transfer case skid plate. We'll have to see. But yeah, I don't know if it's the off-road package or just the tow hooks. I did see a rear hook. Looks like our exhaust, some components have been replaced there. That's, the tailpipe back looks fairly new. Yeah, let's see here. It doesn't look rusty. It looks really nice. We got some miscellaneous items. Can't really tell what's some. I don't know what. Oh, those are tail lights. That's the back of the tail light. The rear floor mats, Some random paperwork. We'll see what's in here. Let's Carfax this guy. Old Carfaxes like this often don't have a lot of information. Huh, it's a Canadian spec car, but it was sold new in Florida. So I'd have to look up what the exchange rate was back then, but I don't think this was all that uncommon. You lost the warranty, but if the exchange rate was highly favorable, and I don't remember the years when it was, but it wasn't that uncommon to buy a Canadian car. Or probably more likely, in this case, given it's from Fort Lauderdale, it probably was a Canadian who bought the car in Ontario, shipped it down to Florida, because we only got 28 miles on the odometer here, and kept it as snowbird car in Fort Lauderdale. Heavy snowbird place from people from Ontario. Although, and I'm going to get too into minutiae here, that 28 miles may just be what was on the original Canadian. They don't do titles, but on the registration document might have showed the equivalent of 28 miles, so 40 some odd kilometers. Anyway, we got, so the emissions, they rounded up every 1,000 miles of 2,000. That's lazy, but not uncommon. Nothing really matters here. We got some Midas services, but this was 20 years ago. Very little info. All right, let's just look at the mileage here. So 48,000 miles in 04, and a decade later, we've got 56,000. With actually a fair amount of work done in 2014. Nothing massive there, but some of this suggests to me it may have just sat for a while, but probably worth calling Midas. Unless the receipts are included, and seeing if they'll give you the records. They're probably all synced from, this wasn't that long ago. But they were pretty good about taking it to the Pompano Beach Midas there, Fort Lauderdale area. It looks like they then did something in 2019. I like that the tire pressure monitoring system was reset. These don't have that. It's just an automatic thing that this Tire Choice would have put in. I guess there are aftermarket tire pressure monitors, but I really doubt we have one here. Again, Midas. All right, and here's when it pops up to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, as they say. Yeah, not much information there. Let's go through the pictures. 254 pictures. I'm gonna zip through these for your sake. Yeah, we got a lot of the same angle here. Everything looks good so far. The pinstripes, I think, were factory on the 88s, like that. I think that's how they did them on the early Laredos. This might have been the first year of the Laredo package. Again, I should have had the brochure in front of me, but chrome bumpers, those were an option. They went with the chrome bumpers, mirrors, and door handles, and I think the chrome trim around the windows. Oops. Yep, come on. There we go. Yeah, what is that sticker in the back? I'll probably get a close-up of it. It looks like a tool chest, or is that? I don't know. It doesn't look like a toolkit. I don't know. We got an old AAA sticker that somebody shoved to I think that is the skid plate. Yeah, this thing looks great. We do have some upper fading on. So where the gray transitions here is, it's not paint. It's a graphic, a sticker, and you can buy a replacement for that. I'm a little surprised they didn't do it given how nice the rest of the Jeep looks, but it's faded. They all do it. Even the ones that sat in a garage eventually just sort of fade. I think maybe the adhesive starts to go. Boy, this thing looks good. Real chance I'm putting a bid in on this. This thing's fantastic. Got the factory hooks. Got a little bend here in the plastic, and it looks like one of the clips has been replaced or something's funky there. Hard for me to tell. Brighten my screen. Won't make a difference for you. Yeah, one of them's funky. So all the chrome on the front was also part of the chrome package. I don't know if that's what they called it, but I'm going to go back here because that fender is a little orange peely. I don't know if that's hard to tell. I would ask about that. I'd want to see paint meter readings maybe on this, because this is definitely a collector grade XJ. Looks like maybe a dent in the hood there. Probably get a better picture of that. We do have definitely, it's not quite as nice as I thought, but we do have some clear coat failure on this piece. Is real easy to pop out around the windshield, and then on the upper fender here, and continues into the hood. So yeah, maybe this thing did sit outside a bit. It doesn't look as nice now. Yeah, those horizontal surfaces are not as nice. All right, I take back some of what I said. Still a cool Jeep, and I think some of that could be brought back to life. Be curious to know what the seller did to spruce it up. And these pictures were taken at exactly the time of day when everything looks good, that twilight. I'm not sure this is an original glass. I don't know if they said that. I have to see what the other side says. It's an original equipment. I'm just not sure the glass itself is original. Yeah, it's a little more faded than I thought. I don't think this was quite as nice as I thought it was at first. It's still pretty nice though. Still decent shine to it. Love those rear windows. Yeah, you can see where there's, now that we really get close up, and my enthusiasm is tempered a bit here, but where the pinstripes have started to, that's just a tape stripe, and where that started to crack. So this side must have been exposed to some sun, which we didn't really see as much on the other side. Probably was in a carport or in its parking garage that it was parked up against, where the sun could hit it a little bit more. Still don't know what that sticker says. Fort Lauderdale Police Superintendent, maybe? So it's some sort of a Fort Lauderdale police thing. I don't know. It's a cool Jeep, though. Yeah, so I don't see any cracks here, but the tailgates on the 84 through 96s are fiberglass. So the paint always looks a little bit different. Obviously, you can't get a paint meter reading on fiberglass. Looks like we might have a bit of rust creeping in right here. Moisture will sit there. And this is a Florida thing. Well, I mean, it'll rust anywhere, but Florida cars tend to rust from the top up more so than the bottom down, just because of the humidity and the salt in the air from being by the beach. And certainly in Fort Lauderdale, that's, you're right up against the beach. This is where you get the oxidation on these screws. That's from the salty air. Down there, yeah, this hood needs to be repainted, and the top of the fender, I think it might have been painted at some point because I think I see a tape line. That's what's on the hood. Some grandpa touched it up. Yeah, it's not as nice up close. Ooh, and this roof has been repainted too. Not well. Yowzer. All right. Maybe I'm seeing why this is $7,000. I shouldn't get so excited. Wheels look great though. They usually get corroded. Put these wheels on XJs before. I don't know if I put the Extreme, but I put the Hankook ATs on, and they're nice tires. A little bit of corrosion there, but not bad. It's something. Even one that's sat in Phoenix its whole life, they seem to get corroded. We see some. Looks like the headliner is a little filthy. Might have been a smoker scar at some point. Driver's seat looks good. I don't think I knew that these were. It's probably vinyl, but vinyl wrapped. I actually thought they were just rubber. Shows what I know. Select track. Vinyl's in great shape. This old vinyl held up really well. The stuff that they put on the 97 and newers did not hold up as well. It's surprising it doesn't have the power seats, given how highly optioned it is otherwise. But yeah, there's your seat controls, seat belt. Door panel looks good. Love that hunter's plaid, whatever they called it back then. It's like a mini houndstooth kind of thing. Looks good. Carpets look pretty good. Did notice the speaker here. You can pull that panel off and repaint it because it started to rust. They all do, just from the salty air again. Little stain on the seat there. Yeah, the screws. I mean, it's just it's that salty air stuff you get. I would love to address that speaker. This one, it looks like it had the early version of the keyless entry. It's this little thing up at the top there. We'll see if it has the fob. I forget what the early fobs looked like. We got our cruise control and our what do you call it? Intermittent wipers. That's kind of dirty. 59,000 miles. All the buttons have faded. Kind of normal for these. Hard to get them to stay unfaded. Was the car on? No, it was not on for these pictures. Okay. So when the car's not on, you kind of ignore some of the readings there. I was worried. Yeah, radio needs new buttons to look really good. Glad it still has it. Yep, these had the power mode for the automatic transmission. Just kind of holds gears a little bit longer. This one's got the clock in it. The real early ones had a bunch of extra warning lights over here. It's a really cool panel the way that they were. That radio looks terrible. Not a hard thing to replace. They're not hard to find. I got probably 5 of them sitting in my garage right now. We're missing the little, I forget what you call this little strip that goes in with the automatic transmission. Missing that. Those brake. I'm not sure this was as cherished as I initially thought, but It still is in good shape. And I mean, when are you going to find another two-door, early two-door with all these options on it? I love how bad the molding was on these. From where it says Jeep, they all look like that. I think they got better toward the later ones. They must have redone it, but they were so bad. This one's early enough that it doesn't have the shoulder belts in the back. These little elastic bands are in good shape still that hold the seat belts. We do have the small spare, so I don't think it's an off-road package. I think it's just got the skid plates. Strange combo. Skid plate tow hook package. I did just notice. Oh, the seatbelt's just shoved over there. I wondered why there were two buckles. Didn't notice. Funny that they kept this basic cup holder design with this weird little shelf thing all the way through 2001. It's kind of a rough brake pedal for 59,000 miles. But you never know. I'm still not questioning the mileage. Because to me it still looks like a 59,000 mile, but just not necessarily loved. XJ, ooh, what happened back here? Something got spilled on this and it got kind of chalky. We'll see if we get a better picture. These strips were an option. This one had the cargo cover. It's not currently there, but they did these in a whole bunch of different sizes based on their colors and sizes, and they changed them every year because you could get one that went all the way across for the ones that had the outside spare, or this has the mini spares, so I think they were a little wider than the ones with the full-size spares. Just kind of unnecessary, but still cool. We'll see if the retractable cover is included. Guessing not. Yeah, what is going on there? Somebody's like tried to touch that up with paint or something? Weird. Good luck finding another gray early two-door panel. Anyway, we're under hood. This whole mess of wires is normal. There should be a cover here, like this little plastic cover that goes over and covers up a lot of the relays, and I just don't see that there. Everything else looks nice. Obviously, it's been tidied up. A little bit of rust on some of the screws, but not bad. Air conditioning's had a bunch of stuff done. I would assume with a Florida Jeep that it probably works, but we'll see. Can't remember if they said that it was not working. This one had the full insulation package, so you had got this extra hood pad. That's actually in good shape, and it's probably original. These tend to kind of just deteriorate. We got the light, the retractable light. Occasionally you see these that still work. Here we've got a lift. Yeah, so we got a new alternator on there. Looks nice. Yeah, it looks nice. I think it's been undercoated. This is probably not uncommon for a Canadian car. It looks like too much. We'll see, but it looks, I mean, it was a long time ago, but I don't think they were quite this black underneath. I don't see a lot that looks new here, though, at least at the front end. Yeah, these, well, I don't know. We'll see if we get a better picture of the sway bar end links at least. Because certainly the stabilizer's not new. It's not the greatest photos for what they are. They're just a little blurry. Yeah, I don't see much that's been done up here. If it's been done, it was a while ago. All right, we're at the rear. Yeah, you can see shocks that have been replaced. They don't really look all that new, though. Kind of weird. All right, rockers. Probably could clean this up a little better, but they look solid. Certainly no rust, in the pinch welds or anything like that. Do have a little bit forming right over here. And I think all this black undercoating, I don't think all that would have been standard in 88. Something's a little wet under there, or has, because you can see the sway bar there's a little damp. Hard to tell. I mean, when you get to the very bottom, what's been leaking, who knows? Here's your select track with the vacuum control on it. There's a muffler that's been done at some point. Not a big surprise. Yeah, a lot of undercoating that kind of hides everything here. Undercoating and dirt. Yeah, there's some rust. It's surprising, that amount. That makes me wonder. Here, that's the driver's side, because that's back. That's the rear. This is the driver's side. It's a somewhat unusual spot. I wonder if there was a leak at some point. Like a weather seal or something. What was I talking about before? Those are the rear shocks. So that's front. Never mind. Yeah, I was thrown off. The blue shocks are. Let me go back here. See how I got so thrown off. The blue shocks are the front. Yeah, obviously that's the front. What was I talking about? That's the transmission. I need to have more coffee today. Blue shocks are front. They're old. I don't know what they are. Probably Monroe's or something. Nothing special. And then wherever we can get to that black shock, these ones have been replaced, and yeah, they do look new. Nothing special though. It might be Saks. I don't know. No shock is expensive for these. There's your Dana rear end. That's a 35, isn't it? Yeah. A few of these had Dana 44s, but I think you had to generally get the towing package or the off-road package or just some weird build because there's never really any consistency on that. And at this point, some of them have had axles swapped. Built in April of 1988. This is very difficult to decode, but there's some info there. Yeah, so it was built to Canadian regulations. Canadian MOT, Ministry of Trade. I assume that's what that stands for. Interesting, it's a Canadian spec. All right, so we got our French language manual. And we've got, this is the sticker from the headliner. We didn't really get a good headliner picture. Original owner, authorized selling dealer. Okay, so yeah, what I said before was sort of right. So Pompano Motor Company, I don't know if that was a Jeep dealer, but they bought a Canadian spec XJ and sold it as new. Don't know why. Strange. You know, we've got some French and English, Goodyear Canada, so they got all the stock stuff there. It's kind of funny. There's the this is probably the original stock keychain from the dealership that sold it new. And then this is something that's just, these fall out of the dashboard. It's just a little sticker from the original supplier. I don't think we're going to get a full detail of the receipts, and that's probably fine. But here you go. Here's where this is the, I'm just going to call him the old person. The old person's handwriting is on a lot of this. That's cool, though. We do get, that's probably most of the records are in there. It's probably all shoved into the glove box at one point. Ooh, what do we have here? State of Florida application for certificate of title. So was this titled as a new vehicle? Is what I want to know. How do you read this? Original used. That might tell us everything we need to know. It might have been sold as a used car. So it's probably one of those exchange rate things where they were buying Canadian cars at a better value and selling them as used, is my guess. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it doesn't, kind of skimming this, but the original owner was born in 1939, so it's 2025. You can do the math there, but there might be alive still, might not be. That probably, as far as the snowbird math, it doesn't really work because they would have been 59 in 1988 if I'm doing the math right. Am I doing that right? Or no, just over 50, 49. Yeah, it doesn't really work. Okay, this is, all right, let's look at this because this one's from Wisconsin. 40-point completal vehicle inspection. Brake booster is main concern. Radiator leak. Customer would like quote on tires. KO2 would like a semi-aggressive tire. Less than 800 for the set, and mileage warranty is not as important. So yeah, they were flipping it. Let's see here. Technician recommendation. Radiator and lower radiator hose. CV gasket. There's like CV. Valve cover valve. Power steering pump leaking. So they replaced the power steering pump, I believe. And they replaced the U joint. Excuse me. They replaced the rear shocks. And they replaced the brake booster, if I remember correctly. So we'll see here. All right. So it looks like they pretty much did everything that this shop, Sabina's Automotive, recommended. Yeah, they just did everything that was recommended. Except for the CV gasket. I don't know what that could be. CV gasket. That's not a CV. I have no idea. Strange. Yep. Oh, good. Now we've got some pictures in different light. It does look good. Red does just fade easily. There's your temp spare. It's probably original. Oh, that's interesting. It's a 16-inch wheel. The alloys are 15s. That's part of the, it was probably attached to the spare at one point. Oh, wow. Here's a picture of it in Florida at the original owner's house, I guess. That's pretty cool. I mean, terrible picture, but it's pretty cool. Looks like they had a CB antenna or something on it at one point. Yeah, picture's probably from relatively new, in fact. Well, I don't know if Florida had front license plates back then, but that's might be from the dealer. Either way, all right, this was kind of a long video, but that is a super cool XJ. Not perfect by any means, but definitely neat. Surprising wear in some ways for 59,000 miles, but definitely a cool spec. Interesting history. Would love to know why a dealership in Florida wound up with a Canadian spec car that they basically sold as new. I think we can probably guess on that one. I actually didn't look at the speedometer. I mean, certainly it's they swapped it to they swapped it to a mile per hour. Were any of the stickers? Now I'm curious. So this just says federal standards. I don't know if Canadian ones had a different. So the door sticker with the VIN, they're very hard to read over time. I don't know if those would have been different in Canada, but certainly this is the emissions one. It just says that it complies with Canadian emissions, which are pretty similar to the U.S., but very, very minor year-to-year differences. And then this one that's in 3 languages, this was the way they all were. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, cool Jeep. I'll update you guys with the price. Thanks again for watching. Hope this was entertaining at the very least. If I missed anything, let me know. Obviously, I was make some mistakes here and there, especially as I'm just kind of reading this as I go. But anyway, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss these, and like the video. The more that you like these, the more that I'll do them. All right, thanks for watching.